Okay, sorry, no lunch. You don't get to enjoy your lunch because now you have to listen to me and enjoy your lunch. It's an and, it's not an either or, it's an and. So hi everybody, thank you Javier, thank you to the board nominating committee, and welcome to the new board members and to the board members who are renewing their terms. So we're very excited about them. My name is Janet Brown, I'm president and CEO of Grantmakers in the Arts. And this is our time to talk briefly about the programs that GIA has been doing. Before I do that, you have these blue envelopes on your tables, and it has come to me to inform you that in those envelopes are what we call census forms. So we'd like you to pass those around to everyone at the table, and we'd like everyone to fill them out. You can also use your mobile phone and do it on, through your phone. And then put them back in that envelope, and then we'll pick them up afterwards. We do this because you request it of us. So please help us to make the recording of this gathering and who was here accurate by filling them all out. Thank you. Service on the Grantmakers in the Arts Board is not easy. It's demanding of time and talent. We meet 3 times a year in addition to this conference, and we also have working committees. This year we want to thank those board members who have served their full 2 terms of 3 years each. And I'd like them to ask them to stand, and if you'd hold your applause until they've all stood. Kristen Madsen from Creative Sonoma, Laura Packer from the Howard Gilman Foundation, Eddie Torres from the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, and then 2 board members who couldn't be with us, Arnie Fishbaugh, who has already retired to her new place in Montana, formerly of the Montana Arts Council, and Margaret Reiser from the John H. and Wilhelmina D. Harlan Foundation in Atlanta. So please thank these people for their service. Thanks. And then GIA has been blessed, and I have particularly been blessed during my time here with GIA, with incredible leadership and leaders who have inspired both the board and the organization's direction. Our current chair, Robert Booker, Executive Director of the Arizona Commission on the Arts, is one of those individuals. Bob leaves the board after 7 years of service and the last 2 as board chair. He was the first state agency director to ever chair GIA. We are grateful for his courage of convictions and his commitment to GIA's principles and actionable change. Please join me in thanking Bob Booker for his time and service. Okay, so I brought my glasses. Do I look more like a CEO now? That's what I thought. Everyone at my table thought so. So the work of any membership association is really threefold. First, to hold a mirror to the membership, following trends and responding to what members are doing. Secondly, to analyze those trends and aggregate membership interests in order to inform the field on nascent issues and those issues being explored. Thirdly, to be a catalyst for a community of practice, bringing people together to learn, share, and network, and to provide opportunities for knowledge, new ideas, and cultural change. Grantmakers in the Arts attempts to do these fundamental activities with a staff of 8 and a budget of about $2 million. I'd like to introduce you to the amazing, totally amazing staff at GIA right now. And if they would stand, or they're probably all standing in the back or someplace when I call their names. Kathy Lindenmeyer, Director of Development and Membership. Jan Bailey, Director of Finance and Operations. Noah Barnes, our Membership Manager. Sujin Chan, our Program Manager. Monica Thomas, Publications and Communications Manager. Steve Klein, our Web and Knowledge Manager. And then there is also Jim McDonald, our Deputy Director and Director of Programs. They are a joy to work with on a daily basis. And this year we have 3 fantastic volunteers. 2 of them, I think, are out at the registration table. We have Kristen Pierce from the Arizona Commission on the Arts, Julia Peterson from the Minnesota State Arts Board, and Sarah Fowler from the Nonprofits Assistance Fund. And these young women give me hope for the future. Thank you, all of you, for helping us out. And then we have our conference planner, Linda Mickelson. I don't know if Linda's in the room. But you know, a lot of these kinds of associations actually hire a conference firm, and people come in that you don't know and you can't talk to when you call 4 months later. We don't do that. We just need Linda. She is fantastic and wonderful and everywhere. So thank you, Linda, for all of your help. In response to you, our members, we hired a new staff position this year for the first time, and that's Monica Thomas, who is our Publications and Communications Manager. And we didn't have this position before, and now we don't know how we ever existed without Monica. She is not, it's for 2 things. She is fabulous, smart, bright, and secondly, who knew that a communication manager could actually do all this stuff? So, and she knows how to do that all. So we're really excited about that. We created this position, yeah, it's fantastic. We really created this position because we heard from you that communication services were important, and honestly more important than networking, which is what everybody used to say when it was just the conference that they came to. But now it's about communications, and we needed to up our game that way. We were fortunate enough to get a nice grant from the Murdoch Foundation to do that capacity building for us, and we're really excited. So we now have the entire staff who works as a team to push out information, news, and research through our website, our newsletter, our webinars, and our social media. Our improved social media strategies have resulted in 50% increase in engagements over 2015, which was a huge jump over 2014. Our average webinar attendance this year went from 80 participants to 150 participants. And our reader article downloads have exceeded 114,000 over the past 12 months. So we're really happy about all that. Our practice at GIA is to provide information that is relevant, research that can be used, and programs that make change and take action. I feel like this conference is really about making change and taking action. And all of you in the room I feel that from you, actually. To this end, we emphasize programs that reflect the majority of our grant making. Those 4 areas are arts education, capitalization and the financial health of our grantees, support for individual artists, and racial equity in arts philanthropy. We continue to do the following: to work with the Penn Hill Group in Washington, D.C., to lobby for change in public policy on issues ranging from arts education to juvenile justice and arts and aging. We are extremely proud of the work to raise visibility of the arts in the Elementary and Secondary Education Act that was passed this year, and also working with the Department of Education to make sure that the arts were visible. This is a long story. I'd be happy to talk to any policy wonk who wants to know. This is a long story. Within the rules and regulations put out by the Department of Education for the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. And we were very proud also of being really the folks that secured $250 million per year in the funding for the arts from the from the United States Department of Education in their pre-K competitive grant program. And that money will be ongoing until the next secretary of the department decides to either shut it down or the next president doesn't want it. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you. We are in the process at the moment, if you can believe it, in putting together a transition plan for the new administration. They're two very different plans. No, they're not. No, we know what we want to do, so that's how that will go. We continue to offer workshops for local funders and grantees on the principles of capitalizations. These are our conversations on capitalization and community workshops. This year we have done them a little bit differently because we have a separate workshop for grantees and a separate workshop for funders. So we used to just do the funders workshop, but now we come into a community and we do the same workshop for both, and they have been extremely successful. For example, this spring we did, in the Bay Area, we did 5 of these workshops. We did 2 for funders, and we had 50 funders there in 2 different convenings, and we held 3 workshops for grantees and saw over 150 grantees. So that was fantastic. And those workshops will continue to be offered in the future. Grantmakers in the Arts hosts forums on relevant topics where we seek to discover the role of the arts and the actions of the funding field. These include the Arts and Environment and the Artists and Community Settings forums that we held this year. These forums provoke discussion, research, policy development, and collaborations, and help inform us of the passion and needs of artists who are working cross-sector in these areas. Next year, we will be sponsoring forums on arts and health, and the arts and the creative process. In our racial equity and arts philanthropy work, Grantmakers in the Arts provides leadership, recommendations, and research with a goal to increase funding to African, Latino and Latina, Asian, Arab, Native American, or what we refer to as ALANA, artists and arts organizations. This year, we expanded online resources in our statement of purpose to include action steps, what we're doing, what other institutions can do, recommendations for individuals, and some new definitions. We also put into writing why we are focusing on racial equity, and I'm going to read that to you right now. But first I'm going to have a drink of water, and then I have something else to say. And it's around language that we really don't have right now in the statement of purpose that I think at some point we will. And that's the confusion between diversity, inclusion, and equity. And we believe at Grantmakers in the Arts, those are 3 very different and distinct areas of focus. And if you want to know all about it, I want you to talk to Maureen Knighton. Where is she? No, but I just want you all to know that we deliberately do not use the words diversity and inclusion. We are working on equity. So what I want to read to you right now is a statement that we felt we needed to add to our statement of purpose on racial equity and philanthropy because there have been questions about it. And this is eloquently written by the indestructible Maureen Knighton, and I'm going to read it to you. Grantmakers in the Arts recognizes that our society is challenged to overcome a complex web of inequities, racism, sexism, homophobia, classism, ableism among them. All forms of discrimination are powerful drivers of unequal individual and group outcomes. However, it is our belief that ALANA individuals whose identities with those of other minority social statuses often experience compounded mistreatment that is amplified by the interaction of race. We support the work being undertaken to dismantle the array of social and economic injustice. However, GIA has determined that we must focus our efforts in order to heighten our effectiveness. We move forward from our assessment that racism is one of the most pressing issues of our time, and that meaningful progress on advancing racial equity will have significant positive impact on challenging other discrimination-based injustices. Therefore, our current priority is working against racism by working toward racial equity in arts philanthropy. So in 2016, Grantmakers in the Arts did an internal racial equity audit. I would recommend this for your institutions. I would also say that there aren't a lot of folks out there who know how to do this, and so if you have any questions, you should give us a call. But on our website, we have both the executive summary of our internal audit, and also the RFP that we used in order to find some help to do it for us. So I hope that you would take a look at that. We are now developing a day-long workshop for racial equity and arts philanthropy that we will take to local communities that will just be for funders. Those workshops, we hope, will be able to be ready in the spring. I looked at Jim McDonald, he's like, what? So he made me say this spring, sometime in 2017. We think the spring. I'm hoping April. We're shooting for April. Okay, but I would encourage you all, if you have not done so, to please read our statement of purpose on our website, which is more than a statement. It's also a call to action. It also tells you the actions that we're doing. And also, for your own organizations, for yourselves. This is and I forgot to do this. Normally when I introduce myself these days, I introduce myself as a 65-year-old white woman from a town of 2,000 in the Midwest. So, so for all you white people out there, it's okay to call yourself white. People know you're white. Not a surprise. Okay, so I have to hurry up. All right. But I encourage all of you, and last thing I'll say about this is that I encourage all of you to, if you're concerned about where you are in this racial equity and arts philanthropy, what does it mean? What does anti-racism mean? What does structural racism mean? What is institutional racism? How do I, especially as a white person, how do I get over my nervousness about talking, whatever, is to go get some personal training. Spend a couple days with racial equity folks who understand what they're talking about. And if you're not white, it's also good for you to go and have that same training, even though you live it every day. But so, and what we need to do, what we're doing mostly, what we're doing mostly is creating with these kinds of workshops a common vocabulary that we can sit down and transparently and openly talk to each other, because that's the biggest problem. Okay, so in addition to that, all those programs, we're also doing the readers. We do 3 readers, and then we do this conference. So this conference, which is the biggest conference ever in GIA's history. Yeah, cool. It's very, very, very cool. And we do this by raising 75% of our annual budget through grants and support from our members, and 25% of our income comes from membership dues and this conference registration. And a little money comes from our workshops. So we are grateful for your support, but we understand that without your confidence in us, there really is no reason for Grantmakers in the Arts to exist. We are a membership association dedicated to the community of practice, a transparency of communication, a transparency of communication, and we have the very good fortune, as does everyone in this room, to work in the field of arts and culture. We are privileged to walk with the talented artists like Kevin, who we'll hear in just a minute if I'll ever get off the stage, to walk with talented artists and caring and passionate colleagues. We have a great life. It is our relationship to our community and each other that will define our good work. In this year of unbelievable, let me just say that one more time because I really don't have to, unbelievable public discourse. It is through artists and the making of art that we explain ourselves as humans, both the beauty and the truth of it. We have the ability and the responsibility to lead by example, by examples of empathy, understanding, tolerance, and truth. Thank you for everything that you do every day. Thank you for supporting each other, and thank you for supporting the arts and the arts organizations that inspire us all. Thanks.